Welcome to the Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's top stories, polio patient Yang Xiaodong from China arrives in Taiwan to receive medical treatment at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital. In France, we join our Daai TV reporter in Paris to see how the city deals with its waste management. And we look into why CO2 level is at an all-time high of 400 ppm, and what it means for our planet's living beings in the near future. First up in today's program, we meet polio patient Yang Xiaodong from Xiamen, China, whose condition have worsened over the years. The vice chairman of Xiamen Political Consultative Conference, Pan Sijian, sought help from Tzu Chi, and thanks to the volunteers' love and care, Xiaodong has shown great improvement. A visit to Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan was also arranged where he could receive further treatment.
This is Pan Sijian, the vice chairman of Xiamen Political Consultative Conference. Today he's visiting the Yang family for the 7th time, and joining the visit for the first time are Xiamen Tzu Chi volunteers.
He doesn't want to meet anyone. He will be like this when people visit him.
For the past 18 years, Yang Xiaodong has been shielding himself against people. On their second visit to the Yang family, Tzu Chi volunteers gave him a pair of sunglasses and a hat, which act as his protective layers. Wearing his hat, Yang Xiaodong finally agrees to get a health checkup at a local hospital. Thanks to the volunteers, Yang has slowly built up trust with those around him.
Last night when he came home, he helped me. Normally, he would curse me for the whole day, but not yesterday.
As a polio patient, Yang Xiaodong was constantly teased by classmates in school. Therefore, he decided to shut himself off from the outside world. To help, Tzu Chi volunteers not only began visiting on 3 days a week, but also installed Daai TV for him to watch at home.
You need to be brave, don't be afraid. When you are with the Tzu Chi uncles, you don't have to worry about anything. He was afraid of meeting people and he didn't want to meet anyone. But after watching Daai TV, he has decided to walk out of his comfort zone and join us.
Thanks to volunteer support, in 3 months, Yang Xiaodong has shown significant improvement in his behavior. Local media also visited the mother-son pair, hoping to raise money on their behalf. And on Mother's Day, the boy even bravely went on stage to express his gratitude to his mother.
He finally has found confidence. I think this is his first step to better health and happiness. Tzu Chi volunteers have provided him with so much warmth.
The Tzu Chi volunteers not only are providing Yang with warmth, but have also promised to get him treatment at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan.
还有没有什么期望？
希望可以站起来。
站起来。
When my feet are in better condition and when he regains his health, we can help the needy too.
Although Yang Xiaodong still insists on wearing his sunglasses around everyone, he has stopped covering his face.
Continuing on our last report, after arriving in Taipei, Taiwan, under the guidance of Xiamen and Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers, Yang Xiaodong arrived at Taipei Railway Station, ready to travel to Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, where he will receive further treatment.
A Tzu Chi volunteer attentively places Yang Xiaodong in a wheelchair, as today Mr. Yang and his mother are starting a life-changing journey.
Yes, I hope after the treatment this time, he will be able to stand and join society once again.
This time around, Yang Xiaodong is accompanied by 3 Xiamen Tzu Chi volunteers. Among the volunteers is Chen, who says he was worried about Xiaodong's health during the long trip.
When we were traveling, we were afraid that Mr. Yang would be tired because he only ate a little, but he is in fact in good spirits. He is very happy to be in Taiwan.
After the 2-hour flight from Xiamen to Taiwan, the group is ready to travel to Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, where Yang Xiaodong will receive further examinations. The volunteers have also promised to assist the mother-son pair along the way to make this the most pleasant journeys for the two.
Tzu Chi volunteers in London, England, recently held a Buddha Day ceremony where members of the public were invited to attend. Besides the Buddhist rituals, volunteers also led the participants in walking meditation and put on a sign language musical as well.
In London, England, Tzu Chi volunteers invited residents of their local communities to take part in the Buddha Day ceremony to pray for peace and harmony together.
It was quite interesting, and it was enlightening for me to know or see how Buddhism is compared to me being a Catholic, and there's some similarities, so it was quite moving and a bit spiritual.
Despite the limited space, participants follow the volunteers in walking meditation.
I think all the parts, but especially that part when everyone was meditating, listening to the songs, because I could really feel this peaceful ambience.
Part of the event includes the synchronized sign language musical, A Vow in Action, performed by some 10 volunteers.
I really enjoyed all of the different parts of the event today. I think the dancing that we saw and the singing at the end was tremendous, and a lot of effort's clearly been put into that, and that was very moving.
Prior to the ceremony, Tzu Chi volunteers also visited a Chinese supermarket to canvass donations for the Ya'an earthquake, with the market owner donating 100 bags of rice to help raise funds. Here, Tzu Chi volunteers once again witnessed great love transcending all boundaries.
In Malaysia, Fang Yuping works in the General Affairs Department at the Tzu Chi Nibontable Kindergarten. When Fang was 4, her father passed away from cancer, and her mother has since been shouldering the responsibility of raising the family of 9. In 2006, Fang and her mother were introduced to Tzu Chi by her sister, and today the trio are certified Tzu Chi commissioners and are walking the Bodhisattva path together. Carrying boxes around and cleaning whatever needs it, these are among the day-to-day responsibilities of Fang Yuping as staff member of the General Affairs Department at the Tzu Chi Nibontable Kindergarten.
At first, I really struggled because after all, this isn't the kind of job I enjoyed, but that changed after I heard the master say, we shouldn't pick the work we like doing. Instead, we should let go of our status and accept and face whatever we come across. Only in that way will we let go of our struggles.
Over the year working at the school, Yuping has slowly learned to turn her struggles into passion and has also gained valuable lessons through interacting with students. Fang Yuping was only 4 when her father passed away from cancer, and her mother has since become the breadwinner at home. In 2006, Yuping's sister Xiaodong introduced her and their mother to Tzu Chi.
I know that my mom had it hard raising all of us. The master said that we must write our own stories in life. If I was the only one to join Tzu Chi, then it would only be me that is cultivating blessings, not my mom. So I hope that she could cultivate blessings to have a better life. That was the main reason I brought her to Tzu Chi.
It is great to learn the master's teachings.
I hope that I can form a strong affinity with my mom in this life.
Putting words into action, Yuping and Xiaodong take their mother along to every Tzu Chi event, and today, all 3 have been certified as commissioners.
My daughters have matured a lot and are more thoughtful. It is great they are taking the master's dharma to heart.
Fang Yuping continues to work the Bodhisattva path with diligence and determination as she hopes to dedicate all the merits cultivated to her mother. Waste management is an issue that troubles many countries worldwide. Be it residential or public sector, governments have tried implementing various ways to collect and sort garbage. Though France is a first world country, residents are still not fully conscious of the need to recycle and cherish their resources. Let's take a look.
I'm standing in the stairwell of a residential building in Paris. Residents collect their rubbish and throw it in here, and the garbage bag will come down the chute through here.
Different garbage bins are placed in every community for residents to separate their rubbish, a system similar to Taiwan's, and on the streets.
If you have anything to throw away, every 50 steps there's a garbage can.
Setting up more garbage bins on the street is a way to ensure the general public do not litter. A simple and round metal frame with a plastic bag makes up the garbage bins. A few steps down is a large glass bottle recycling bin. Nonetheless, members of the public don't seem to bother putting their unwanted waste in the right place. The littering everywhere also makes one wonder if this is really a civilized country.
After the garbage is transported to the Waste Management Center, the staff here will sort them into different categories: paper with paper, glass with glass, and plastics in the plastics area. When that's done, it will then be taken to their individual centers for further work. For example, plastics will be reused and glass can be used for other purposes too.
Waste management is a worldwide issue. Whether it is residential or public, garbage trucks collect all the rubbish, which is then taken to the Waste Management Center for further sorting. Here, one can see all kinds of unwanted waste from the Greater Paris region, and the staff spends a great deal of time sorting them into different categories.
450 kilos par habitant.
This is indeed a troubling matter. If residents are unable to sort their garbage into categories, it will really be difficult for us to handle it all. So we have tried to promote environmental concepts through various channels to let the public know the importance of categorizing unwanted waste. In France, a person creates 450 kilograms of garbage a year on average.
In Taiwan, a person only creates 400 kilos of rubbish a year on average. From the garbage that arrives in the Waste Management Center in Paris, it becomes obvious that the general public here are not as environmentally aware as those in Taiwan, who seem to be much more conscious of the importance of conserving resources. In addition, the tens of thousands of recycling volunteers around the island also work around the clock to ensure a sustainable environment for our future generations. Moving to Taiwan, police officers from the Gangshan precinct of Kaohsiung City Police Department visited the Tzu Chi Gangshan grounds, where they learned how to make an organic cleaning agent and enzyme solutions with fruit peels, as well as the benefits of vegetarianism.
Do you know these pineapple peels can be turned into an organic cleaning agent and enzyme solution? What about PP and PE too? Do you know how to tell the difference?
这样是不是直线的？这个叫 PP。
Here at the Gangshan Tzu Chi grounds, police officers from the Gangshan precinct, Kaohsiung City Police Department, take off their uniforms and join Tzu Chi volunteers to learn how to practice recycling and the ways of sorting recyclables.
Before, we didn't know much about recycling. Today, we learned how to distinguish between PP and PE2 and all kinds of bottles and cans. We have learned a lot today.
瓶瓶罐罐也都获悉今天我们的同仁都是受益良多。
Other than techniques of sorting recyclables, the police officers also learned of the volunteers' devotion to the public.
服务的过程中，可能
When we are serving the public, there may be some misunderstanding. Seeing how the Tzu Chi brothers and sisters devote themselves to helping other people, we are motivated to learn from them.
应该也是我们见习的一个过程。
除了了解说上人所做的
Today, we not only learn how to practice recycling, energy saving, and carbon reduction measures, but also learn how to make an enzyme solution and organic fertilizer.
酵素啊、有机肥。
Tzu Chi volunteers also prepared a vegetarian feast for their special guests. Through the practice of vegetarianism, police officer Chen, who was diagnosed with cancer, regained the strength to carry on with his treatment.
When I was diagnosed with the cancer, the doctor said that I could survive no more than 3 months. Thankfully, adopting vegetarianism helped me recover.
Though the weather is unpleasant, these public servants still do their part in safeguarding the environment and try their best to learn from the Tzu Chi volunteers' spirit of selfless giving.
A series of bizarre weather phenomena, such as the recent catastrophic tornadoes that ripped through the U.S. state of Oklahoma, can trace their roots back to global warming. The current CO2 level has exceeded 400 ppm, which is believed to be the highest in 3.5 million years. If the level exceeds 450 ppm, the planet's average temperature is predicted to increase by 2 degrees Celsius, paving the way for more violent and deadly weather patterns. Here's more.
Carbon dioxide is transparent and odorless. It is all around us, yet we hardly notice its presence. However, the gas closely affects our environment and all living beings. High concentration of CO2 can lead to horrible disasters.
Vehicles like cars and motorcycles have become an integral part of our lives, but they produce carbon dioxide, especially during traffic jams. Currently, the CO2 level in the atmosphere has exceeded 400 ppm. What does that mean?
The temperature will continue to rise even if the whole world's carbon emission is reduced to zero right now. The current CO2 level will keep us warm for decades because that's how slow the absorption is.
High CO2 concentration amplifies global warming, leading to extreme weather patterns that threatens all life on the planet, including us humans.
Back in 2003, a heat wave struck Europe. Tens of thousands died. Global warming also contributes to erratic rainfall. Destructive heavy downpours occur more often now.
The figure 400 ppm is a warning for us to tackle the problem sooner than later. Scientists have drilled glaciers at the North and South Poles to study the planet's climate change over the centuries. They discovered that there's a natural cycle.
From the ice cylinder extracted at the South Pole, we observed that the CO2 levels go up and down naturally. The level of fluctuation is around 100 ppm.
In the natural environment, carbon dioxide is stored in and released from the ocean, atmosphere, and vegetation. Every 100,000 years, the CO2 level fluctuates between 180 to 280 ppm. However, due to humans' interference, the cycle is now broken. Typically, after passing a low point like this, we will enter the so-called deglaciation. After that, the CO2 concentration will decline steadily. So as we have seen from the previous cycles, the level should decline now. But that's not what the readings show. The CO2 level that should be declining is skyrocketing instead. Normally, for the level to rise by 100 ppm would take about 10,000 years. However, man accomplished this in some 100 years, thanks to the Industrial Revolution. Before 1800s, men typically rely on natural power sources.
We can manually bring up water, which can then power this mill to grind flour or to store wood. We can also rely on wind or livestock or even manual labor to power simple machinery.
The Industrial Revolution paved the way for coal-powered steam engines. Petroleum and natural gas were later selectable as fuel sources. In 1958, the observed CO2 level was 318 ppm. That figure has now reached 400 ppm and is still growing. The source of combustion is down here, but Mauna Loa Observatory takes an average reading of the atmosphere, so the figure is based on past emissions. In other words, we are surrounded by CO2 concentrations higher than 400 ppm. If we don't regulate our fuel consumption, we will only further endanger the planet and ourselves.
Over the past few days, we looked into how Taiwan's west coast faces the constant threat of environmental degradation due to industrial development and the growing population. Today, however, we shift our focus to Taiwan's relatively untouched east coast, where a new threat is emerging in the shape of the tourism industry. With over 20 major resorts and BOT projects in the pipeline for the fragile and pristine coastline of Xiaodong, activists and environmentalists worry that such projects will not only destroy the beauty of Taiwan's east coast, but also threaten the lifestyle of the indigenous tribes that currently call the area their home.
The biggest problem we are seeing on the East Coast now, whether it be on the coastline or in the mountains, is that BOT projects are everywhere. With this scale of unsuitable development after 50 years, what do you think will be left for our future generations?
The Miramar Resort was built in Taidong's Sangyuan Bay, which is one of Taidong's few beachfronts. These areas are often favorite targets of resort developers who like to build as close to the sea as possible.
Taidong Shanyuan Bay, formerly a pristine piece of coastal beachfront, is now surrounded by barbed wire and buildings that have sprung up along the road that circles the bay.
This fenced-in area, all the way down to the coastal road, all this being developed by the Miramar Resort. Behind me is the location of the planned Naruwan Hotel and Resort that will sit on 10 hectares and stretch from here to the coastline. And here in this area, artifacts have been dug up that have been identified as belonging to prehistoric man.
With the Miramar Resort at the center on the 10-kilometer stretch of coastline here in Shanyuan Bay, there are 5 other major projects in the works: the Palm Beach Resort, the Taidong Resort, the Naruwan Hotel and Resort, the Gold Coast Resort, and the Shanyuan Harbor.
Right here is where one resort is being planned. It is the smallest of the 6 projects, only being 6 hectares. But around here, in this undeveloped area, there is another resort being planned. Only this one will stretch for 27 hectares, making it the biggest one to be built here in Shanyuan Bay.
In their race for tourist dollars, developers have acquired some of the region's prime real estate, leaving indigenous tribes cut off from the land in which they once roamed free. Yet behind the resorts, we see how the earth here is highly susceptible to erosion. In fact, the whole area lies on the Liji Melange, which stretches 70 kilometers north to south.
This area is all part of the Liji Melange. Once the underlying earth has been uncovered by large-scale excavation, erosion happens quickly here. For this reason alone, this area is not suitable for large-scale excavation and development.
However, the unsuitable geological conditions have not stopped developers and investors. In fact, all along Taidong's coastline are 20 other large-scale projects currently in the works.
Miramar Resort Village will be the first in the domino effect of development of the East Coast. The problem is that right now, Taiwan lacks a proper coastal law, with the proposed law still stuck in legislature. So there is no direct and efficient law that everyone can refer to.
I think all indicators tell us that even with the law, things won't change. Right now, what we are seeing is the disappearance of the indigenous culture here, and there doesn't seem to be a way to reverse this trend.
Fighting for a slice of the tourist dollars on the East Coast, investors and developers have put at risk a pristine environment that once gone is lost forever.
We end today's program in Indonesia. Besides providing scholarship support to underprivileged students, Tzu Chi volunteers also held an event at the Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter in Jakarta to promote filial piety. The children showed their love and gratitude to their parents by serving tea and giving them a foot bath. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.